a very tight group. Qualification for the semi-finals is still very much in the balance for both of these players. They've both played 4 matches, both won 2, and both lost 2.
Wow.
And that's not a pretty way to start. Qualification is still in the hands of both players. They both know if they win their last 2 matches, they will be through. Looked a fairly routine shot for Wilson to
Wilson 1.
pot the red and land on the black. But that early chance goes very quickly. They've played 9 times before and Wilson has only won 1 of them. And that was in this tournament 3 years ago. They've had some fairly high profile meetings. They met in the quarterfinals of the 2016 World Championship. Selby raced away into a 6-0 lead. Wilson came right back at him. Close to 8-6. Then Selby pulled away for a 13-8 win and went on to claim his 2nd world title. And they've met in the semi-finals of the China Open the last 2 seasons in a row. Selby winning both times, but both close. Good pot, and he knew chances were he'd be on something. So pretty good chance, but black tied up. Pink more or less the same, and the blue is up the other end of the table. Well, and looking to free the black straight away.
4.
Well, there was a lot of pressure on that shot. It was tricky anyway. And he knew if he missed it, he could be handing Selby a decent chance here. Wasn't a great day for Selby yesterday. He started being whitewashed by Barry Hawkins, who finished with back-to-back centuries. And he was 2-1 down against Jimmy Robertson, turned it around to win 3-2. 2-0 down against Stuart Bingham. Got back to force a decider but lost it.
8.
So only had 1 win out of 3 overnight, but in the one match he's played already today, he did beat Luca Brissell. Well, this would improve the situation significantly if he could get the blue back on its spot.
Mark Selby 9.
But it was awkward from there. And so Wilson is back in. Back in 2016, Wilson reached the final of the first ever Championship League group that he played in. He was beaten in it, though, by the man he's facing this afternoon.
Well,
he's been a bit unlucky there. It was a good pot. He got the blackout into play. The cue ball just kept on running. If he'd stopped short of the baulk line, he would have been looking at a potential frame-winning chance.
Wilson 12.
consolation prize for Wilson was that he had an easy, good safety, and it's proved effective, because this is a great opportunity.
One. Eight. Nine.
He's become so dependable, so solid in situations like this, where the balls are there. Still got to pot them, still got to keep position, shot after shot. But he does it so relentlessly now, and that's why his stock has risen so much over the last season or two.
16. 17.
And the situation's a bit trickier, and there's a bit more work to be done positionally. I don't think he's quite at the level of the top players just yet. But he's very good at doing the things that you would expect him to do, if I can put it that way.
24. $25. $32. $33.
Frame ball. And it looks as though he's done what would have been expected of him here.
40. $41. $46. Wilson 46, anything.
Kyron Wilson has played 4 frames today, and he's won them all. He whitewashed Barry Hawkins earlier, and he's taken the opening frame against Mark Selby to lead the world number 1, 1-0. Now Jimmy Robertson may finally be about to get his first win in this group. It would be his only win because it's his last match, but he's now 2-1 up against Barry Hawkins. It's only ever happened 9 times that a player has lost every match in a group. Well, a lot going on with that shot. Everything seemed to move there. Well, you can see it in action. At first glance, I'm not sure Robertson's been left anything. Well, there is a red to corner actually, so. Oh, he can't afford to miss those. He won't want to go home having lost every match in the group. It's been in since Group 1. He did well enough to get through the first 2 groups to make it this far, but he's played too many shots like that over the last couple of days. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on how that one continues. Hawkins went into that with 3 wins out of 4, so if he can win it, and he'll have to come from 2-1 down to do that now, he will definitely be in the semi-final. He's established a reputation as one of the best long potters in the game, but that one proved beyond him on this occasion. That's an excellent red from Selby. And to hold for the blue as well. Fantastic cueing.
Six. 7.
Still ranked number 1 in the world, Mark Selby. Been there
14.
for a number of years, unbroken now. But he's got a big job on to hold on to that top spot for much longer. A lot of his points will be coming off. All points stay on for 2 years. You even think of his last world title in 2017. All those points will be coming off in May. So he's going to need a good few months ahead if he's to continue his long run at the top of the world rankings. Oh, the kiss on the red had robbed him of ideal position on the black, but that's a fantastic recovery shot.
38. 39. 46.
For a player of Selby's quality, this is the sort of chance from which 8, maybe 9 times out of 10 you expect to win the frame in one go.
47. 54. 55. 62. 63.
So he'll just need one more red after this blue.
68. 69. 142. 142, yeah.
Yeah, Mark just asking Paul Collier what the highest break in the group is. £500 bonus and offer for that. It was a 142 by Judd Trump earlier, overtaking Selby's own effort of 141.
77.
And that's why Selby has opted to play for the difficult black here, because he needs all blacks to overtake it. Break reaches 77.
84.
Sorry, 84 with the black, so 59 left, so he can make a 143.
85. 92. 93. 100.
Well, that could put pay to us, unless he can play a really great positional shot to stay on the black here. Well, opted to just leave himself a very difficult black. He's got a chance. Oh, that's magnificent. Barely touched the sides.
108.
What amazing quality this is. Started the day with 137 as the front runner for the highest break prize in the group. That was set by Judd Trump yesterday. Selby overtakes it with a 141. Trump overtakes that with a 142. And Selby on course to hit back here with a 143.
116.
Tells you so much about the modern game.
$118. $121. $125. $130. $136.
It looked like a good chance when he came to the table, and he's capitalised to the full. Mark Selby with a total clearance of 143 is the highest break in the group. It's the highest break in the Championship League so far this year, and it draws him level with Kyron Wilson at 1 frame all. I think Kyron having a little joke with Paul Collier there, saying I'm sure he could use the 500 quid. Referring, I guess, to Selby's very lucrative last few seasons on the circuit. There was one season a couple of years ago he won very nearly £1 million in a single campaign. But what a show of quality that was from Selby. His second break over 140 today. And that's on a day when he's only won 4 frames so far. Meanwhile, on the other table, Barry Hawkins is in first against Jimmy Robertson. And he's on a break of 50, so every chance Hawkins is going to take that to a decider, which, if that does happen, Robertson would have to win to avert finishing with 6 defeats from 6. So both players back, and it looks like Mark's brought a cup of tea with him. Very modest way to celebrate such a fine effort. That 143 total clearance, which has drawn him level at 1 all, as Kyron Wilson gets us started again in the 3rd frame. Barry Hawkins has now won that 4th frame, so it's 2 all. They're going to a decider. First one we've seen today, in fact. Made 6 yesterday. If Hawkins wins it, he's guaranteed a place in the semi-final. Shades of Cliff Thorburn in 1983. Hates being reminded of it, but his historic first maximum at the Crucible started by fluking a red. Although in that case the red he missed flicked the other one into the opposite corner.
Eight. Nine. Sixteen. Aaron Wilson, 16.
Well, he was clearly playing that with an element of safety in mind, but there's at least a long red to go at here for Selby. Not sure he can cut the one to left middle. Well, this is well within his range of capabilities.
One.
Dead centre. And that's something similar to the shot that I think Wilson would have been hoping to play if he had potted that red to the green pocket. wasn't a massive amount of risk in the shot Selby played to the baulk pocket, bringing the cue ball back to safety. Would simply have rolled in behind the black if it had gone in.
Touching ball.
Over on the other table, Jimmy Robertson is in play on a break of 43 and leading by 41 in the decider against Barry Hawkins. It's a frame he has to win to avoid becoming the first player in almost 3 years to lose all 6 matches in a group. Well, it's taken a while to sort this out, but whoever does get in is clearly going to have a really good chance. None of the colours safe. Reds out in the open, scattered all round the table. Well, I think Wilson's had a bit of running there. I think the red just kept trundling along for long enough that Selby can't cut it in. I think Selby can get through to the red on the right-hand side cushion. If he can, that makes this shot much more straightforward. Wilson not quite able to get in behind the black. And there it is, every red. And there are 12 of them left now in the baulk half of the table. Well, Wilson was able to cut that one in the middle.
One.
And finally, he's the one who's got the chance to take advantage of all these open reds. He's going to have to pot a lot of balls to win the frame at this visit, given that it's likely to be mostly low-value colours. Or at best the blue. But straight away, he's missed the blue.
Wilson one.
And after all that, Wilson gets the chance and only scores 1 from it. Jimmy Robertson has finally got a win in this group. He's beaten Barry Hawkins 3-2, so he will not join the list of players who have lost every match in a group. It would only have been the 10th time it had happened in 91 Championship League groups, and the first time in almost 3 years.
7.
He still finishes bottom. Bows out after playing in all of the first 3 groups. And as for Hawkins, well, that leaves him having won all of his first 3 matches. He's still on 3 wins after 5 matches. 2 defeats today, but he'll be straight back onto that table now to play Luca Brissell. And both players will go into that knowing that if they win, they're definitely in the semi-final. Well, having taken the reds that are out in the middle of the table, or were out in the middle of the table, gets a bit more complicated now for Selby. Well, he's got a good split, but nothing straightforward here. Yes, he's got the red over the green pocket, but he'll be losing a lot of control over the cue ball. So still a lot of work for him to do in this frame. And you can just never guarantee where the cue ball is going to finish on a shot like that. Cutting in at such an acute angle. Looks like he's sizing up the pink to the green pocket.
40. One.
This has actually been a much better break than it might at first glance appear. Yes, there were reds out in the open and plenty of colours available when he came to the table. But as we've seen, he's had to work hard to keep it going. Got into a few tricky spots.
$48.
The product of all that good work is that this brown is to leave Wilson needing a snooker. Good effort at bringing the last red into play. Well, that'll be the end of break, but he'll be very pleased with that. It is just one snooker, though.
53.
But any hopes Wilson had of getting that snooker could be laid to rest very quickly here. So that will be that. There was a lengthy tactical exchange. Wilson got the chance in the end, cut the red in the middle, but couldn't add the blue to follow. And Mark Selby, with a break of 53, has come from 1-0 down to lead by 2 frames to 1. So I don't know how much of that you heard, but a bit of a post-mortem on the frame there from Mark Selby. Remember, it was suggested once that players should do a brief interview at the end of each frame. It was an idea that never caught on, but Mark Selby providing the service for us there. And whichever one of them wins this, we'll move on to 3 wins, so we'll then have 5 players on 3 wins. Jimmy Robertson obviously out of the equation after finishing with 1 win out of 6. But it's all still so much in the balance, and the difference between going through to the semi-finals and getting knocked out altogether could be very small in the end. Remember, top 4 go through to the group semi-finals. They'll be played this evening, followed by the group final. Whoever wins the group final will be through to the winners group in Barnsley in March. The runner-up, the beaten semi-finalists, and whoever finishes 5th in the table will be coming back tomorrow to start again in group 4, when 3 new players will come in. The bottom 2 players who finish 6th and 7th will be the only ones to be eliminated altogether, and Jimmy Robertson will be one of those, and whoever loses this match, there's a very good chance that they'll be the other one. I mentioned that 1-4-3 that Mark Selby made in the second frame was the highest of the Championship League so far this year. fact, the 3 highest breaks so far have all been in this group. Well, they've all been today, in fact. Highest in Group 1 was Neil Robertson's 139, and then Kyron Wilson took the £500 in Group 2 for a 132. And if Wilson can't turn this around, then he'll go into his last match against Stuart Bingham knowing that if he loses it, he'll be out of the Championship League altogether for this year. And these two players could meet again next week in very different surroundings at Alexandra Palace. If they both win their first match in the Masters, they'll meet in the quarter-finals. And they both start out a week tomorrow. Wilson will play Judd Trump, who he beat in the semi-final last year. And Selby, a 3-times Masters winner, will play the last match of the first round that night against the former UK champion Stephen Maguire. All starts on Sunday afternoon. Mark Allen, the defending champion, kicks things off against Luca Brissell. In what I think has now probably established itself as the second biggest tournament of the year. It's always been a debate whether the UK or the Masters is the second biggest after the World Championship. But for many reasons, I think most people now feel that it's very much the Masters in second place. That's all to come next week. Back in the present day, Mark Selby breaks off, needing one of the 2 remaining frames to record his 3rd win in this group. All a far cry for Wilson from his performance earlier today against Barry Hawkins. He had breaks of 75 and 60. He limited Hawkins to 7 points in the whole match, on the way to winning 3-0. Wilson's misread has let Selby in with an early chance here in frame 4. He's never won this Championship League, Mark Selby. He's played in it every year except one. So he's had 10 previous appearances. And he was the beaten finalist in both of the first 2 stagings. Lost to Joe Perry in 2008 and Judd Trump in 2009. Hasn't been back to the final since. He's been in the winners group a total of 5 times.
11.
Only Trump has been there more often. And his most recent winners group appearance was last year. Selby finished 4th in the table and was then beaten 3-2 by John Higgins in the semi-final.
20.
Well, we saw what he did with a chance like this in the second frame. Made that 143 total clearance.
27. 28. 35. 36.
'And that has turned out absolutely perfectly. And Selby will have one thought and one thought only in his mind now.
43.
Get the match finished at this visit.
$44. 51. 52.
He's one of the best we've ever seen, Selby. He's very much in the mould of John Higgins. Great all-round game. Fantastic temperament. And an almost eerie ability to just find a way to win.
59.
'And on any list of the top 10 all-time players, he'd not only be in it, but comfortably inside it. And in no time at all, he's arrived at frame ball, which in this instance is match ball.
68. 73. 74.
'And if he could take blacks with all of these reds,
81.
he can make a 140. It will be his third break of 140 or above today.
Two. 89. 90.
I know it's been across 2 matches, but there can't have been many times in the game's history where the same player has made 3 140 plus breaks in the same day. It may never have happened.
98.
What we do know for certain now is that Selby has won this match. He'll move on to 3 wins out of 5. He plays Judd Trump later. For Kyron Wilson, it's 2 wins from 5. And he'll be back on to play Stuart Bingham in just a few minutes' time. Selby's 2nd century of the match then. Well, it isn't going to be the 140.
106.
But in the end, it's a classic Selby performance. Some big breaks,
112.
some dogged tactical exchanges and match play.
$114.
And what most of all makes it a typical Selby display is that he's won.
$121. $126.
He's really playing himself into form as the group goes on. What a display then from the world number 1, the 3 times world champion, Mark Selby. Total clearance.